Yo, guys, what's up, and welcome back to the Marvelous Chats podcast. This is episode 164. Tonight on the cast is myself, Finto, and Alex, aka Zebrolf. We're going to be talking about The Last of Us Season 2, Episode 2, maybe a little bit of Andor, and any other nerdy news in between. If you're new to the channel, make sure that you hit the subscribe button, leave a like on the video on your way out, and if you're watching a replay, leave a comment below, let us know what you think. Without further ado, here we go. Yo, what's up, brother?
Hey, how you doing,
How are
man?
you? I'm good,
Not
man.
too
I'm
bad.
good.
We're both like,
how's, how's the week?
week's good, man. Week's good. So I know that we've been talking about like certain like download and upload speeds a while ago when we were talking about like with your fiber network and whatnot.
Mhm.
I took a look at some of my services after we talked about that, and I noticed that I have Xfinity, which is like a cable company,
Okay.
and they essentially had a new setup of different plans, and they had a new plan that's above what I had called like multi-gig times two or something like that. And essentially it changes it up from 1 gig up, 30 megs down, or no, one gig down, 30 megs up. It changes it to 2.1 gig down, 300 up.
Oh,
So
nice.
so I went for that, considering that I had a modem that was for that.
Yeah.
And I had like 2.1 gig down, 30 up, and I'm like, what's going on here? And
Yeah.
so I took a look, and they came out with a brand new modem that's literally one level above this one. So I was like, fuck, now I got to pay for this. So like I had to order that. I got it in. It was still stuck at the 30 up, so I had to call the services, and then after I called the services, my download speed went down to half as much. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here?
You flipped the wrong switch. Oh man, that's crazy. And are you sorted now? Did they sort it
Yeah,
out for you?
yeah. So what they determined was that it was there were a few outages going on in my neighborhood, and literally the next night there was an outage that happened, and there was going to be some technicians working on the lines. And once they did that, I'm pretty much close to 2 gigs on the main computer, and anything else that's like kind of feeding off of the switch
Yeah.
gets about 1.6, 1.7. So I'm happy with that. I'm totally
That's,
happy with that.
like, realist. I know it's great to have massive numbers, but how much do you really need? You know what I mean? Like,
When you're downloading,
there's companies that I work for that don't have that I have better internet in my house than, like, big offices with, like, 30 fucking workstations and phones everywhere, and 15 fucking access points in the building and everything like that. Now I've got a better internet connection in my house, so it'll be fine.
yeah, I would say like mainly servers might be a good upgrade to have, but in terms of like the networking amongst like a business, it's probably not necessary unless you really need, like, I need data right here and now, which that's not always the case. In terms of us, you and I stream, you and I also download video games, you and I also stream to watch things. To have that little bit of extra upload speed, it's huge, because then when you're also playing online with other people, you're not just taking packets, you're sending packets as well. So being able to do that back and forth and have a decent amount, like it's super helpful. It'll keep you more stable than you ever thought. And yeah, so like having the about 1.7 gig, especially on my gaming computer, it helps a lot, considering that like I re-downloaded Call of Duty. It's a fucking 300 gig download.
How long did it take?
Like 20 minutes. I was like, okay, that's not too bad.
That's great.
Yeah.
I remember before when I think with the first time I downloaded Warzone and stuff. What was that? Modern Warfare 1 was when that came out. I remember it took like 2 or 3 hours for the whole game, like the whole thing to download for me. Like, it was crazy, absolutely insane. So yeah, that's a big win.
Yeah,
Big win.
and I don't know if I ever told you this, but I actually bricked my my PlayStation 3 when I was trying to download DC Universe Online.
No way.
Yeah.
That's
Like,
hilarious.
I was trying to download it, and it was like, it's going to take till tomorrow. And I'm like, all right, I'll go to bed. I'll wake up. And I got a yellow light of death. I'm like, fuck, it was running hot the whole time.
Oh shit.
But it,
Yeah.
I ended up playing it on the computer once I got a computer, and it's a pretty fun game. You can play for free.
Yeah, like the I remember my PS3. I like used to play stuff like Uncharted and the first Last of Us game. Funny, we're going to be talking about the Last of Us show tonight, but yeah, I remember like the sounds that the PlayStation used to make. Like I'd be in my parents' like living room, the PS3 setup, and I can remember it clear as day, like the sounds of it loading and the fans spinning and everything at like fucking 2 o'clock in the morning while I'm like sneaking to stay up to play late and everything like that. Like yeah, it was, oh man, great console. And the PS4 just knocked it out of the park as well. Then like that was just even better.
I will always miss though the fact that like they had a hard like you if you got the 60 gig model, you had the hardware for the
Yeah,
backwards compatibility, and if you had the 80 gig model, you had the emulator for the backwards compatibility.
yeah,
So like if you had the 60 gig model and it was still alive, you could sell that back to someone for like an extra $100 on top of what you paid for it. Like it was awesome. Those things cost an arm and a leg back then too. It was like 600-700 bucks. Um, but it was so worth it, and you could change out the hard drive.
yeah.
It was just so cool.
Did I told you before about my PlayStation 3? Like my one of my ex girlfriends got it for me, and she ordered it from Japan, and it was like the only white one in Ireland. But
Oh, that's sick.
the controls were different because in Japan, like circle is enter, like, and then X is
Yeah,
back. So like I was just so confused all the time, like because obviously it was in English, but everything was like circle for enter and everything like that. So it was kind of crazy. But it was a cool gift, like because it was like the only white one around. Like they didn't have any white ones here at all, which was sick.
yeah. Um, Before we get in though, I just want to give like a big heads up to anybody that's looking to get a Switch 2 tonight.
Oh yeah,
Um, yeah, so I don't know if you've taken a look at the news. I don't know if you're planning on getting a Switch 2 at all, but they announced that the Switch 2 pre-order release is going to be at 12 p.m. Eastern or 9 p.m. Or 12 a.m. Eastern on the 24th or 9 p.m. Pacific today. So I'm going to be up late. I'm going to try to get myself a unit or two because Katie also wants to get one.
yeah,
Um,
that's cool.
I don't know if you're planning on getting a Switch at all, like a Switch 2.
I'm not a Nintendo man at all, man. I
Mhm.
I, I grew up with like Sega and went from Sega to PlayStation, and I never really touched. I remember I had a Game Boy. Like this, jeez, I'm showing my age here probably, but I had a Game Boy like back in the day, and like when they first like Pokemon games came out, like I was playing like Red and Blue and Yellow on like on Game Boy and Game Boy Color.
Mhm.
That was all I kind of fucked around with. I didn't really go into the whole like mega or the whole like Nintendo, like Super Nintendo and all that sort of stuff. Like
Mhm.
a friend of mine, he was into Nintendo and I was like the Sega kid. So between the two of us, we kind of had everything covered. And we used to just like,
Nice.
yeah, we used to like, I'd go over to his house and we'd like play Mario and shit. And then he'd come over to my house and we play Sonic and all. Like, so we kind of had the bases covered. And then I moved to PlayStation and he went to Xbox. So like I'd go around to his to play Halo and like he'd come around to mine to play Uncharted and stuff like that. Like, so like we kind of covered everything just between the two of us before we could
Sick.
like before I could afford like to like buy both consoles just to have exclusives. Like, and that's what I did for a long time before I went moved to PC. I'd have the two consoles sitting there just so I could play Gears 4 and then I'd be on PlayStation to play Uncharted 4 or whatever, you know what I mean? So yeah, it was expensive. It was an expensive hobby back then. And now it's
That's
just a lot
awesome though.
easier. It's just a lot easier on PC now. Like I just have the PC and that covers all the Xbox stuff and PC stuff, and then I have a PS5 just for the Sony exclusives as well. Because
Yeah, so
there's some games you got to play on day one. Like I can't wait. I know there's some people in the community who and I fair play to them, respect to them. Like they'll sit and wait for the Steam release, but I'm not waiting 6 months to a year to play like some games like Spider Man and God of War and all that sort of thing. I'm playing those. I'm playing those games day one on controller. Like I don't care.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, you got it. Let's kick in to the topics tonight. We have The Last of Us episode 2. Um, I know we kind of spoke offline. You aren't really going to be watching Andor. I am going to probably watch it slowly. I watched one episode today. They released 3. I just don't even care enough to watch all 3 or like waste not waste but spend my day trying to talk about all 3 episodes. Um, trying to watch them, like, because to be fair to them, and usually we give out about episodes being short, and I looked at the time And I was like, oh my God, the first episode's like 56 minutes long. Second one's like 45. Third one's like 58. And I was like, oh shit, this is going to take me some time to watch. And usually I prayed for that, but like now I was kind of like, oh shit, I wouldn't have minded this show for it to be shorter so I could try and like get them all in,
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, what's up, Dan? How are you? Guys, I appreciate everybody who's here in the chat, or if you're if you're if you're watching us on a replay or anything like that, or you're listening to us on Spotify or anything like that, or even we're live on Twitch right now as well. So what's up, Twitch? Yeah. So just I'll talk a little bit about episode 1. We don't really have to go into it too much. If people in the chat want to talk about it, fantastic. I'm happy to steer a conversation that way, but I don't really have a lot to say about it. But also Thunderbolts, the premiere was this week. The first reviews are fantastic. We can maybe talk about that. And like Celebration was over the weekend as well. I don't know if you watched any of the Celebration stuff. I know you're not really massively into Star Wars, but there's a few bits from Celebration came up that we could definitely talk about, which I think would be cool. And I think you'll even like it as well. So yeah, Last of Us. Before we talk about the show, I want to quickly ask, because I know you're playing it on Twitch right now. Did you finish it yet?
Yeah, it's done. Yeah, I'm already done.
Nice. Yeah. Give me the ratings out of 10. What did you think of the game? No spoilers, obviously, for the end of the game.
I give it like a 7.5, maybe. Like I think it was good. I didn't think it was great in terms of the design of the storytelling. I think that maybe they didn't think that they had enough of a perspective for the main character to be given an entire run for part 2. Compared to like, in the first game with Joel, now in the second game we have Ellie. And we had Joel the entire time for part 1. So for part, like, except for like the very end when we saw Ellie. In part 2, like we get half of Ellie and then half of Abby.
Yeah.
And I feel like it and then we go back to Ellie, which and it was kind of like, I don't care.
Don't we go back to Abby again then as well? Like it
doesn't
no. Again?
No. It's the 3. So it's like it's Ellie. It's Ellie. It's Abby, Ellie, Abby, and then Ellie. So I guess you are right. You're like it bounces about 3 times.
Yeah.
And essentially, like, I really liked Ellie's story. I think Ellie's story was fun. I didn't really care for Abby. I just couldn't.
Yeah.
There's no. And I'm trying not to spoil anything. It's just. That character is a no from me, dog. So
yeah, and look, I'll tell you, the first time I played the game as well, I played it when it came out 4 years ago, and I felt the exact same way as you do. But the second time I played the game, I feel like you have a bit of a different perspective to the entire story once you know everything that's going on. And again, I don't really want to talk about the game right now, because if there are people that haven't played the game and they're watching the show and they don't know what's going on, I don't want to potentially ruin some stuff. I've seen some people online, especially on like TikTok, they're like putting up clips from the game and stuff, and they're trying to be like, I know what they're trying to do. Like they're trying to like ruin the show, but it's like they're putting up spoilers for the show technically, but they're posting clips from the game, and then like, oh, well, the game's 4 years old, it's not really spoiling it. And it's like, come on, bro, like just, can we leave the clips for the game for a little bit till the show's finished maybe? And then, make your comparisons all you want. So like, this week, for me, like I'm a big fan of the games. Like those 2 games probably sit in my top 10 of all time. Like I do, I love them. Like, and I'll not like the Uncharted series is very special to me too. So like I'm a big Naughty Dog fan. I obviously am probably overcritical of the show because I love the game so much. And like I'm sitting watching episode 2. There's some parts that I really, really dislike. Compared to the game, and I know I probably, I'm sure I'm not the only one doing this, but I am comparing the show to the game a lot. And there's some things about the show that I think are working better than the game did. So like there is a bit of yin and yang to it, but for the most part, I think, and like with every episode that I watch as well, I feel like the game was better at telling the story. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I agree 100%. The game did a really good job of giving you a perspective of the 2 characters in a much lighter way at the beginning, and then slowly spoon feeds you until you feel like there's enough for you to kind of like until you feel like full on one, and then you feel like you can get a little bit more of the other. Even if I don't like the second story that's told, it's still better in terms of like telling what the whole outcome of this operation was, like what things like what costs that they made, you know, what consequences these characters basically created
Yeah.
due to the fact that they performed these certain actions. And you know, like we're not even talking about the episode yet. This is just as a whole, like
Mm.
when we get into like when we actually get into the episode for episode 2, it feels like it's rushing us because it doesn't believe, like I feel like the directors or maybe the story writers didn't believe that people would understand what some of these characters were going through, and like by the
Yeah.
time we got to the end of it. Because when you go through the game, it's essentially like a Pulp Fiction style, you know, where it's kind of trying to tell multiple stories in one go.
Yeah.
You know, this is kind of reaching that point where like even at the very end of the game itself, you still get some flashbacks to things that happened in the past,
Hmm.
and gives you a higher perspective on like what the real reason behind all this was.
Yeah.
And and like episode 1, kind of like after playing the game, I'm like, man, you guys really just shoehorn that stuff in. Like you just
Bro,
kind of
we were on stabilizers in the show. Like and this is what annoys me about the show. It's the fact that when we like the opening credit, like the opening like fade into the up to season 2, episode 1 is the Fireflies. It's directly after the first episode, and we meet Abby straight away. And then she's
yeah,
like, "His name's Joel. We gotta find him. We're gonna kill him. We're gonna kill him slow." And it's like, are they like dumbing it down because they know what's coming and they just don't want to like overly shock the crowd? I think, and I think the reason why they're doing this is because I think what would probably happen is, and my girlfriend kind of said this, and she was half joking when she said it, but half not joking as well. After the episode was finished, she goes, "Fuck this show, I don't want to watch it anymore," because she was so upset about Joel dying, right? And like,
right,
she's half joking when she says it, but she's half not at the same time because she
right.
was so shocked that it actually happened, right? But could you imagine if they told the story the exact same way as the game? Do you know what I mean? And what I'll do is, for anybody who may be listening to this who doesn't play the games or they're not gamers at all, I'll tell you very quickly how the story goes for this story in the game. So the game starts, you're Ellie, you're in Jackson, you know, everything's normal, you know, it's 5 years in the future, you're kind of just stepping into back into the world, and then just out of nowhere you start playing as another girl. And sorry, I haven't played the game in about a year and a half, so correct me if I'm wrong here, but this is pretty much how I remember it. You start playing as this girl, you don't know who the fuck she is. She ends up getting into a spot of trouble, which we saw in the show. It was perfectly recreated. She gets into a spot of trouble. She gets like chased by a horde, and then Joel comes to the rescue. And in the game, you're kind of like, you're straight, you know, because like you have to play as her crawling through the gate and stuff like that, and it's fucking amazing, like absolute gaming cinema in my opinion. And then, you know, someone comes to save you and you find out it's Joel. And I remember my reaction when I first saw it in the game. I was like, holy shit, Joel to the rescue. I was like, this is fucking incredible. And then, but in the game, it's different. He's with Tommy. He's not with Dina, right? And I can kind of understand that change for pacing in the show. It kind of makes more sense because, you know, Dina will be able to kind of portray what happened and it'll affect Ellie more and kind of motivate her more to go after them, I think, you know. I don't know, again, I don't know how they're going to do it, but I don't mind changes like that because I feel like it flows okay and it makes sense, whereas the game was just different, right? So they end up going through a pretty similar rescue, but then they end up in the house, and then just out of fucking nowhere, like Tommy says something like, "How long have you guys been here? Like, you look pretty geared up. Like, you guys look like, you know, whatever." And then Abby just turns around with a shotgun and blows fucking Joel's leg off. Like, you're like, what the fuck? Like, I could not believe what I was seeing in the game when it first happened, because again, we don't know who any of these people are. They just look like a couple of people who've settled in a house, and then Joel's missing half of his leg, and you're kind of like, hands in your head, like, what the fuck is going on? And then the whole thing unfolds, and the whole time you're thinking like, nah, they're not going to kill Joel. There's no way they can't just kill Joel like this, right? You're Joel, like he's the main character, and boom, Joel dies, and you're just like, holy fucking shit. And then, you know, fade to black, and that's it. Like, you know, like, you don't know who the fuck these people are, none of this stuff. And then it's all about Ellie, you know, just grieving, and then Tommy again so pissed off that this has happened. It's his own brother. He's like, I'm going to find these fuckers, and he disappears, and then that kind of gives the motivation of Ellie to go after him, right? That's kind of how the game goes, and that's incredible in my opinion. But the way that the show kind of just had us on stabilizers, told us who Abby was straight away. The revenge the plot was there. So the second they show up at Jackson, you know, like the second she meets Joel, oh fuck, it's over. You know what I mean? Like this is it. Like, so
Right.
I didn't like that at all, man. And again,
Yeah, I didn't either, man.
My girlfriend like did like the story, and again, it's because she doesn't know what the better story was. Like, you know, she didn't experience the game, so she doesn't know how much better it could have been and was in the game. But yeah, I feel like they kind of maybe dumbed it down, because I just think if they told it frame for frame, I think people would actually just rage quit the show. I think they'd just be like, nah, fuck this. Like, I can't watch this. Like, I genuinely think that they would lose so much viewership because of it, because people are just so attached to Pedro Pascal and to Joel. I think it would just be too much of a shock for them. But
yeah,
they should have done it, bro. Because I know, like, there's a lot of, I don't know if you were reading up about it or remember any of the criticism about the game when it first came out, but like that death in the game, like it landed like a lead balloon back in the day, like when the game first dropped. People really did not like it. I remember like thinking, like, you know, it's a bold move getting to play as the girl who, you know, committed the fucking murder as well. I thought another bold move. The whole Ellie story was interesting. I liked watching her kind of go dark and, you know, bad. Like that was great as well. Like, so, like, you know, for me, I love the game, but I can understand people's criticism of it. Like, you know, the fact that they just killed Joel off. Is it like in your first kind of 2 hours of gameplay? Like, if I remember correctly, it's like kind of very, very close to the start of the game, right?
Yeah, and for his death, yeah, it's pretty close. You get a little bit of introspective from Ellie as she's walking through the town with Jesse.
Yeah.
And like all the stuff that you see at the very beginning of the show, none of that actually occurs until like at the end of the game.
Yeah.
So they've kind of reversed the roles. They kind of I think they're trying to do it in chronological order. I don't know if maybe they just think that people won't get why certain things need to be shifted around. And so, like, it's just hard to tell considering like what they decided to do ultimately. Like I get that they're trying to convey that like something's going on between Joel and Ellie. So then you have that, but then when you have his death in the second episode, you're not going to care about that. You're not going to care about that at all. Like it's going to be all about now, like who the fuck is like who the fuck was Abby to do all that. But at the same time, she also said what she's there for. So it's like there's no mystery. Like what do you want? Like the only mystery is
where are they now?
Where are they now? Like where do we find them? It's like
she didn't even say that though. She even mentioned, she's like, you know, don't come to Seattle. I wouldn't dare. You know?
I wouldn't show up there. You're not going to go there, right?
Yeah, you don't got the balls to come to Seattle. It's like, okay. So like, and again, I think that's why Dina was there, so that would make sense, because she's going to probably tell Ellie, she's going to be like, you know, I heard her say something about Seattle. And then they're like, okay. And then I presume Tommy's going to be like, Seattle, okay. And he's going to fuck off, and they're going to follow. I presume.
My mom got into a fight one time, like, and I've seen her fucking fight. She's vicious. So the person that she fought, they like, you could literally hear the moment my mom's like fist cracked right into her face.
Oh my
God. Like she doesn't fight like, oh my God, like scrap. No, she's a fucking boxer. So anyways, there's that. All of a sudden the lady like drives away and whatnot. And she says, you better not come down Central. And the first thing my mom does, like, because we're like, let's go get something to eat. And this was like maybe about a week later or so. And she's like, let's go get something to eat. Let's go run some errands. Get in the car. And she's like, hey, do you want to go down Central? So like, you don't tell people where you're at unless you want to be found. So if in the show you're telling people like, don't go into Seattle, it's like, fuck you. You just killed someone I loved. Yeah, I'm going to see you right there.
Yeah.
It's insane. Like they spoon feed you everything at the beginning in a
Yeah.
worse way. I'm already like I'm not hungry. Stop feeding me this shit.
Yeah.
Like make me want to have food. Make me want
Yeah.
to have this interest, this wonder, this curiosity as to why this happened.
Yeah.
But now we know. It's like it's like in The Princess Bride. Like, my name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to
Yeah.
die. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah. So now we know why. So, but there's no more magic.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's already gone.
I know. Look, and I kind of feel like I don't know like as long as I can remember, nearly on this podcast, we're almost giving out about everything that comes out. Like, and I hate being negative about things, but I I I don't want to sugarcoat shit either. Like, I want to be real about stuff. Like, and I think that this direction is a mistake for the most part. Now, there are some good things in the show. Like, I like the whole hive mind thing of the virus. I like how the virus is different in the show, and I think it works better on the screen. The whole scene of them fighting in Jackson was like pretty intense. It was very cool.
That's
Visually looked
that's
great.
that's probably why they decided to go the with the swap between Dina and Tommy, because
Mm.
maybe they wanted Tommy to be there for Maria,
Yeah,
so that, like, as they're fighting the Horde, it shows like they're both in danger, in the sense like they're both trying to protect the town. Whereas like Dina and Joel are on patrol. They're kind of like the softer group. They're the people that Ellie cares about, like, immensely, essentially.
yeah,
And so, like, to have those two in like extreme danger, like, I can see how like a net positive for the show itself. um we're gonna get the perspective from Tommy, and I think it might work a little bit better, because I can't remember if Tommy goes straight out, but I know that Tommy was originally not planning to leave until Ellie promised him that she would see this through, that she would want to see this through, and then, like, then all of a sudden he leaves a note saying that he's out.
yeah. Tommy's. I can't remember what the time frame is of the gap from when it happens to when Tommy leaves. I think it might be like a couple of weeks or something, because they have the funeral and you get the whole sequence where Ellie's like emptying out Joel's house and stuff like that. Like, that all happens. So to me, that tells me like that at least probably a week or so, or maybe more. But
Yeah.
yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they do it in the show. Like, is Ellie gonna go off in a rage and Dina follows, and then Tommy's going after her? Like, are they going to change it around? I don't know how they're going to do it, but
Mhm.
it'll be interesting. Like, I'm definitely interested to see where they go with the show, and I like, obviously I played the game a couple of times, so if it was like a direct, like, one for one adaptation, it might not be as good. I suppose I do like spotting the differences, and again, as I say, I like how they do the virus. Like, the guys are digging up the pipes and they're activating the virus, and that's kind of telling the Horde, hey, they're over here, come on over here. Like, like
Mhm.
that concept is fucking terrifying to me. Like, if they did something like that in the game, could you imagine if, like, you stepped on some, like, roots, and then there's a Horde chasing you down the street? Like, that'd be absolutely terrifying in the game. Like, so
Oh
I,
yeah.
I I love that in the live action. I think it's really cool. I really like Dina in the live action. I didn't like her in the game. um Yet to be seen about Ellie. Like, I liked her in season one. She has some very big shoes to fill in season two. Like, Ellie in the game in season two was an absolute fucking antichrist. She's a badass. I don't know if Bella's going to be able to do that. I hope that she can. Like, I'm rooting for the show to be, as good as the games, of course. I just don't know if they can pull it off. And, like, I saw some interviews with them, and they were even saying that themselves. Like, they're like, we knew what was coming when we were making the first season. Like, we knew this was where it was going to go. We were kind of hoping that it's going to go down well. And, Pedro was like, when I signed on for the job, I knew straight away that he died. Obviously he had done his research, or maybe he played the games, I don't know, but he knew straight away that he was going to go. And,
Mhm.
it's like the second season's handing over, and, like, Ella's number one on the call sheet now, or Bella, sorry, is number one on the call sheet now. And it's like, can she do it by herself? I don't know.
I mean, it's just they haven't Martha.
Martha.
Oh man, but like I'm trying to give Bella the benefit of the doubt. I think that some of the like it's so hard when you do acting, from what I understand. Like it's very hard to kind of replicate what was done in video games,
Yeah.
and especially if you can't cry. If you're not able to cry on command, like it's a tough gig, especially for those moments. Like I don't know if Ellie actually cried in the game. It's hard to tell because considering like everything was happening all at once.
Yeah,
Um,
she definitely was.
yeah, so like we have a little bit of blood, we have some crying and whatnot. I didn't really see that from Bella. So like I'm just kind of curious as to what kind of faces that she can bring
Mhm.
as of right now, but everything seems a little stone faced, and I think that's what's kind of hurting it a little bit. I think if
Yeah.
she had a little bit more of a enthusiasm in her design, like for her character, maybe if she put herself out there a little bit more and stopped like being within her own mind, because I feel like she's kind of like mentally blocked. She's trying to portray the character, but she's not trying to be the character.
Yeah.
Um, I think that's where we kind of hit a roadblock. Whereas like you see Pedro Pascal, he's going fucking ham. Like
Yeah.
he's putting all the stops in, and I think that's why people love his character so much in the show, and they really like Pedro Pascal as an actor, because like I love him in a lot of things. Like I think he's really good. I think he fits in a lot of different scenarios, and even when he's playing with people that you wouldn't think he'd play with, like Nicolas Cage and The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, like
Yeah.
that was such a good fucking movie, just for the fact that it was like it was just this weird perspective of like a drug lord essentially,
Yeah.
and how he liked Paddington too.
Yeah. Yeah, he's like Paddington 2 is like the greatest movie of all time. I after watching that, I was kind of like, no, maybe I need to watch this movie. Like, what's this about? Like, like what's this reference
Right?
about? Yeah, like
Right?
that had me intrigued to actually watch Paddington 2. Now, props to Pedro. Like I think a lot of people say, oh, Jesus, Pedro's in everything these days, and I even only saw a meme today of like him as Thanos and he's collecting all the, DC, Marvel, Last of Us, Game of Thrones. And then it's like, the last one is like, he's going to be in the MCU now and he's going to be Reed Richards. Like, it's like, yeah, he's in everything, but he does have a real, like, vast range. I know he kind of looks the same in a lot of stuff, but I do believe that he's different characters. And I think when we see him as Reed, he'll be like a completely different person to Joel, like
Right.
he might look the same. Like I think that was a lot of people's critique when he first got announced, because it was like I think they saw some set photo or something, and it's like, Jesus, he just looks like Pedro Pascal. It's like, they didn't try and change his appearance whatsoever. Whereas he's very gritty, and they've given him the silver hair in this season of the show, and at least I think they added some facial hair to him in F4, and he does look a little different. And yeah, I suppose like look, it is what it is. But I think he has the acting ability to do anything. You know what I mean? Like he was fantastic in Game of Thrones. He was the best part of that Wonder Woman movie, which was absolutely awful. But he was the only kind of shining light in that film. Like, and again, he was pretty bad in that film, but that's not his fault. Like we know he's a good actor. That's just the
Right.
material. That's just the material. But yeah, like he's great in everything that he does. So
Yeah, and I agree wholeheartedly. Like there's not been a role that I saw him in that I was like, huh, why him? Like
yeah.
it's only like I would say kind of the typecast character right now, or actor, is Jack Black. He's
Oh
kind of all
God,
over the place himself, and it's
he's
not as
evolved.
fun as, yeah, he's really gone everywhere.
He's evolved to just playing himself. He doesn't actually act
Yeah,
anymore. He's just
yeah,
Jack
that's
Black. Do
that's
you know
the
what I
way
mean?
to yeah, that's
Yeah.
the way to explain it.
Yeah, like I laughed when I saw the Minecraft movie. I brought my son to see it, and I thought like Jack Black is just himself. He's not acting here. And
Yeah.
he's like, I know, like if you've ever seen his YouTube channel, like Jablinski Games, he's just acting like Jablinski in this movie. But he's like, my name is Steve. Like if he did a little slip and said like Jablinski or something in the movie, I'd fully believe it. I'd be like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's fine. That's just Jack being him. Like he didn't even shave. Like it was just he was just himself. It looked like he rolled out of bed and put a blue jumper on, and that he's like, "I'm Steve,"
I'm Steve.
Yeah, it must have been
Chicken
the
jockey.
easiest. Yeah, chicken jockey. It must have been the easiest fucking paycheck of his life. you know. And I don't know if you heard, but that song, the chicken jockey or the lava chicken song, is like
Hmm.
charting in the UK. It's in the top 40. It's a 31-second song. I think he's like gotten a Guinness World Record for like the shortest song to ever chart. But literally,
Jesus.
it's getting played on the radio over here and everything. Like it's crazy, man. It's absolutely
And
crazy. Like the fair play to them. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
I love to see stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I know half of it is probably a meme that like people are just going to the cinema now just to fucking cause ructions when the chicken jockey scene comes up, like, and it's part of the fun. But like,
I
if it
don't think they can
works,
do that anymore.
Warner Brothers are loving it.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's
It's
already. I
sitting on
think
a,
it's already made like 1 billion, didn't it?
it's sitting on five. I'm just going to check this now because I'm just curious because I haven't looked at this in a while. But it's sitting on 5.9, which is, in my opinion, a fair score. But I'm sure kids will disagree. And it's on 723 million globally, which is massive because the budget was 150. So they say, what is it like to break even? It's like 1.5 or 2 times the budget is kind of where
Mhm.
they aim to be. So they've nearly tripled the budget of the film. So it's a massive, massive screaming success of a film. So yeah, fair play to them.
Hell
Like
yeah,
yeah, and
yeah. I'm
if
all
they
for
make
it.
another one, yeah, if they make another one, great. And they might have to do something a bit better to make the movie a bit better. I think like the gimmick might be gone for the second one, but
Two
you know,
chicken jockeys.
yeah. Like I don't know. Maybe kids will just go and see it. Like they'll just eat it up. Like it is what it is. It's hard to
Quick
tell.
question. Quick question. Did anybody wear any armor?
No. Oh, in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jack Black wore diamond armor in the film.
Anybody else?
Maybe one of the kid actors or something. Few of them had like helmets and they were like literally like crafting weapons like you would in the game and stuff like that. Like it was, I think if you're a fan of the game, I'd say it was an absolute roller coaster of a ride. Like my son came out of the movie and he was just like, he's only 11, but he came out of the movie just like, that's my new favorite movie. Like he was just like over the moon, like, you know what I mean? And coming out with his big popcorn bucket, like fucking loving life, So like that's what the cinema is for me. Like that's what I felt like
Yeah,
as a
that's what you
kid.
want for your kid.
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
fell in love with when I was a kid. I'd come out of seeing like Star Wars or Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter or any of these like Spider-Man movies, like the Toby movies back in the day. And like that was what cinema was. Like it's about capturing that magic and just like being like obsessed with these stories and just getting to see them on the big screen. Like, it's incredible. Like anybody who tells me that they don't like going to the cinema, I'm just like, I don't understand you. I'm sorry. I can't. It
Mhm.
doesn't make sense to me. It's crazy. It's crazy.
I was just talking to my coworkers, and I would say the majority of them don't like going to the theater anymore. They'd rather just wait for the streaming services to allow for it to be available. I think even if they had to buy it for streaming, they
Yeah.
would much prefer that than going into the theater itself. They don't want to.
Yeah.
They don't want to overpay for the for like the popcorn and whatnot. But like for me and for you, like even it's all about the experience.
Yeah, yeah. Like for me and my girlfriend, like going to see a movie is a date night for us. I'll buy the ticket, she'll buy the food, and if we have time, we'll get some dinner before or after or whatever. We make a date night of it. Like, and it's I love it. Like, and I know she does as well. The problem is that it's getting so expensive to go. At the
Right.
moment, there is, I think every film I was looking because I was booking tickets for. I'm going to see the 20th anniversary of Star Wars Episode 3 on Saturday.
Hmm.
It's the 20-year anniversary. Like I remember the day I saw it on opening day. I like took like I skipped school and went into the city center on a bus. Like I was 16, fucking me and a friend, and we brought two girls and we went to the cinema at like 9:30 in the morning, and like skipped school, and one of my friends got caught. Like the principal rang his mom and everything. It was so funny. Like we came out of the movie, he had like 40 missed calls on his phone. It was hilarious. Like it was such an amazing day. And like we brought like lightsabers with us and stuff like that, and like that shit is just like, it's a core memory for me. I'll never forget it. And now this Saturday, 20 years later, I get to go and see it again on the big screen. Like it's magical, man. It's magic.
I'm
And
excited for you, man.
yeah, and like I booked my tickets for Thunderbolts as well. Like that's like in a day I spent like probably $50 on tickets just for seats, and then I'm gonna buy probably 2 rounds of food when I get there, and it's just expensive. Like I was looking at like I was flicking through like the days in the cinema just to pick my like Thunderbolts tickets, for example, and like there was a day that I would have loved to see every single film that was in the list. Like, you know, it's like that movie Sinners looks incredible. Like I'm hearing nothing but great things about it. The one with Michael B. Jordan and
It was great.
did you see it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, bro. Like I want to see that. I want to see the Until Dawn. I want to see Thunderbolts, Star Wars. Like there's a long list of shit that's out right now, and I want to see all of it. But
Are
like it's just
you,
so expensive, bro.
yeah, are you interested at all in The Accountant?
Yes, another like the first accountant movie is incredible. Love it. Like I don't know if you know, like my stepson is autistic, and like seeing like Ben Affleck's character in that film, like being like an autistic fucking hitman, like badass, like it's so good, bro. Like it's so good.
Hmm.
It's and like John Berthal's great in the first one as well, and yeah, it's just the second one looks fucking great, and that's another one that I'd love to see on the big screen as well. But it's just, do we have the time? Do we have the money? Well, we have the money, but it's, do I justify spending so much money just going to the theater? It's kind of crazy. Dan in the
Hmm.
chat says, I got a 65-inch TV and 5.1 surround sound with 8-inch sub theater at home. When I bought my house, so I think you might know this, Alex. I might have shown you this or told you about this before, but I spent I spent about €6,000, like maybe $6,500
Ooh,
building out like a home theater for myself when we bought our house. So like I bought like two and a half, nearly $3,000 TV, like Bose 5.1 wireless surround sound, bought like reclining couches and everything, like the whole shebang. I did our sitting room up like a home theater because when we bought the house, we had a baby at the same time, and I said to myself, fuck, we're not going to be able to go to the theater anymore, or not as much. Like, you know, I know I'll make time to go see the MCU movies and stuff like that. But like, and this is a perfect example of what I'm telling you right now. Like, I want to see Sinners. I want to see Until Dawn. I want to see all these movies on the big screen. But we don't have that freedom anymore just to be like, you know, like my stepson would go and stay the weekend with his dad, and then me and my missus can just go off and do whatever the fuck we want. You know what I mean? We have the whole weekend to ourselves. You know, we could go on a weekend trip away, or we could just, you know, go out on a date night and not have to worry about, you know, getting home to the kid. But now that we have two kids, you know, it's like I have to text my mom and like, you know, can you take care of the kids for a couple of hours while we go to the cinema? Like, and I feel bad because like my mom does all our childcare for free for us, for my daughter, which is like
crazy.
yeah, it's like $1,000 a month, or
Do you,
she's saving us.
do you
So
at least like take her out sometime, like, or
oh,
try to like,
we definitely treat the both of them good around birthdays and, you know, Mother's Day, Father's
good,
Day, all that sort of thing.
good.
Christmas, we spoil them rotten and everything. So, but like my mom's the type of person as well. Like she gets angry at me when I spend money on her because she's like, I know you need your money. You need to save your money. Stop spending it. Like, you know, I'll buy her like a really expensive gift for Christmas and she'll be mad at me because I spend money on her, you know? And I'm like, you're
Mhm.
saving us $1,000 a month. You know, just take the gifts, please. Like we want to give them to you. So it's like stuff like that. Like it was like Mother's Day was a few weeks ago here. Like we bought her like one of those like robot hoovers to hoover her house and stuff like that. You know,
Oh,
like the little
nice.
robot things, like it like maps out the floor and shit. So like yeah, stuff like that. Like I love doing all that sort of stuff. But yeah, I don't know. We went completely off track there. Sorry to anybody who's
No, you're
listening. Like
good.
they need to talk about some shit. But yeah, like look, you know, I don't know. I'm completely off the point. I don't even know what we were saying. Um, we were talking about the theater being expensive, but
Yeah.
yeah, basically, yeah, I don't know. Anyway, let's. Do you have anything else you want to say about Last of Us, or I don't even know where we are? I'm lost.
Um. So let's talk a little bit about the death scene. Like, how did you feel about that?
In some ways, I think it wasn't as graphic as the game, and I think for obvious reasons. I think the actual final blow itself was more graphic in the show than it was in the game. Like
Hmm.
she stabs him in the neck with like the broken golf club, and that didn't happen in the game. The game version, like she just literally like kind of gives him a death blow to the head with the golf club, and it's still fully intact. In the show, it's portraying that she's hitting him so hard that she's breaking a fucking golf club over his face. So like that's crazy. Um, I did like it, you know, and I don't know. Like again, I like the actress who's playing Abby, but she's like so small. Like I think she's like 5'2" or something. She's
Oh,
like
geez.
she looks like she's 100 pounds soaking wet. Like she's tiny. I just don't find her menacing in the show, whereas in the game, like she's fucking jacked. Like my first playthrough of the game, like I had the running joke for the whole thing on Twitch that I was just like, oh, like my goal for next year is to have Abby arms by the end of the year, sort of thing. Like I was training to look like Abby and have like those jacked arms by the end of the year. Like, and that was like, she was a menacing character, and then
Mhm.
when you get to play as her, you kind of realize, oh, maybe she's not, and this is the reason why she's doing that, and we find out who she is. But again, the show has told us already it's stupid. So yeah, I don't know. Like, I think when I watched it in the game unfolding, and I actually went back and I replayed my first reaction to it on stream because I have it on my YouTube channel. It's uploaded there, but I wasn't
Mhm.
using a webcam at the time, so I couldn't see my face. But if I remember correctly, I sat there just like this the whole time, and I was just like this, like, what the fuck is happening? And I was like,
Talking
there's no
about
way.
boy.
Yeah, no, but and like the whole time you're watching him getting beat down and he gets shot, and I'm like, nah, he'll heal from that. Maybe he'll be off he'll be off his feet for a couple of months, but he'll be fine. Like, Joel's
Mhm.
gonna be fine, of course. And then like he's getting his head beaten in, and I'm like, yeah, this is looking bad. But I never in my for 1 second, and I think again, like to kind of just talk about my girlfriend's reaction to it, because I was kind of watching her react to it. Because obviously I knew what was coming. It's not a surprise to us anymore, but I was kind of like paying attention to her reaction, and I think she thought the same thing. It's like, yeah, look, he's in a bad spot right now, but there's no way they're gonna kill him. There's no way, right? Like, there's no way. And then like that final blow, and she was like, "Oh my god, what the fuck?" Like, she was like, I think she actually shed a tear for him, like genuinely. So like that's good in a sense that like people are getting that reaction. I've seen some reactions on TikTok and stuff of like people like who don't game watching it and like being in absolute shock and crying and everything. Like, so I think it's great. Like, it sounds weird to say this, but I think it is great that they're able to pull those emotions out of people. Like, you know what I mean? That's good storytelling. Like, it's obviously fucked
Right.
up that people are crying and it's somebody brutally dying, but at the same time, that's part of the magic of cinema, right? Like to be able to make people feel emotions is the end game. Like that's what we're trying to do in these stories. Like, whether you're trying to make people happy or sad or scared or whatever, like the end goal is for you to have emotions. Like, so the fact that people are, as Dan says here in the chat, is like, yeah, my wife was mad. Like, that's probably one of the emotions that they're aiming for. They want to piss people off. They want to make
Right.
people cry. They want to make people sad. Like, you're coming out of this show, and again, I was on Twitter after the episode, and it's people putting up pictures of the actress playing Abby, and they're like, fuck this bitch, and I'm coming for you, bitch, and all, like, people are like, I hope you get killed and all this stuff. Now, obviously, they're talking about the character in the show, but like, for people to like put up a picture of an actress and like outright say all this crazy shit, like that really comes across to me as an absolute win, because that's the way, like that's how the story should be told. Like, we need to be getting all these raw emotions out of people. So yeah, I think while it wasn't as good as the game, and I think for the most part that's how I've been feeling this entire journey, I think the game has always been better, but I do like some of the changes and some of the differences in the show. I think they are doing a
Mhm.
great job. That's what the game
Sadness, but
made
a
people
lot of
who
anger.
said it. Yeah, it was a lot of anger. And like, again, like I remember, like, what's the dude's name who like spits on Joel's body when he's going past him? Oscar or something, is it? Or I can't remember his name.
Yeah. Yeah, I
And
can't remember. I think it was
he's like,
Oscar.
fuck you, pendejo, or whatever.
Pendejo.
Yeah. And he spits on him, like, and I just remember, like, I remember the first time I played the game, I was just like, because I like, you're gonna find all these people, and like the job of the rest of the game is to fucking enact revenge on all these people. And I just remember thinking, I can't wait to kill that bastard. Like, I'm gonna actually enjoy it, And like, that's just
Mhm.
pure rage. And his name is Manny. Shit, I thought his name was like Oscar or something. Okay, thank you, Nova.
That was Manny? Oh shit, I thought
So
there was another guy. I thought there was another guy. I could have sworn there was another guy, but if that's Manny, holy shit. Fuck
so
Manny.
yeah, exactly my point. But like, and even I'm trying my hardest. I'm like biting my lip, like trying not to spoil this for my missus, because again, she doesn't game. She doesn't like. She wouldn't sit and watch me play the game either. So she
Right.
knows she knows nothing of what's coming. She's completely in the dark. Um, but I actually, like, I was pissed off watching the episode again, and again, it was that scene where he's walking past and he spits on Joel. And I was just like, I even just said to my girl, I said, I took great fucking pleasure in killing that bastard in the game, And I probably shouldn't have said that, because I know now she knows that that's probably going to happen in the show. But I was so fucking angry watching that happen. So yeah, the show does a great job of just pulling raw emotions out of people. Facts. Fuck that. No, but
Yeah, fuck that guy.
appreciate you hanging out over on Twitch, dude. Yeah. So what did you think? Like, you're happy with it? Are you?
No. I thought it was like very tame compared to what we've seen. I think that it could have been a lot more gruesome. I even think that the video game version of it was like should have been a lot more gruesome. It felt like, I know that they had to kind of hurry up and whatnot, but I think it would have been cool to like have kind of like a Negan comic style killing where like you just all you see is like a fucking eyeball and the head bashed in and whatnot. And I know that shit's gruesome, but that makes for some good shit. You remember in like, can you okay? And I just thought about it. Like, can you imagine if it was like done in a similar way as the Mountain did to Pedro
Yeah, yeah.
Pascal's
That's what I
character?
thought was going to happen, bro. That's what I thought was going to happen. I was like, and I saw someone tweet about this. Jesus, like HBO really hates Pedro. It's like 'cause
Just
they're
want to
just
fucking
beating his ass in like the whole time. But I think the way that the game did it, I think like the dark room, you can't really see what's going on. It's kind of just, and you're just so shocked at what's happening because you don't know who any of these people are. You don't know where they are. You don't know what the fuck is going on. There's just so much unknown happening. But I think the way that they were telling the show, they probably should have gone more gruesome. The room was way more lit up. Like I thought it was going to be vicious. I thought like what like what like what Fisk did at the end of Daredevil. I thought like
that was awesome.
I thought Joel's jaw was going to be hanging off and everything. You know what I mean? Um, more blood, more passion, more energy.
More energy, more energy.
Um, yeah, like look, obviously, I think they could have done a few bits better. I think they're trying to dumb down the shock value in the show a bit because I just think, people like my missus like would actually probably rage quit the show if it happened the way it happened in the game on TV. Because I think
Mm.
it's so insane, and I think for me anyway, it would like that drove me to want to play the rest of the game. I need to see what happens. I need to kill these people, like and I think it's different when you're playing a game because you're like, I'm gonna actually have the satisfaction of doing this. Whereas in the show, a lot of people are kind of like, I know, I don't know if you know Grace Randolph, like she's like a big kind of scooper online, and she talks about, she has her own podcast. She talks about like a lot of like the scoops and stuff like that. But she put up a post talking about, and I think she's a gamer as well, so I think she did play the games, but she put up a post talking about the show, and she kind of says, I don't like the show. It kind of struck me like Walking Dead, where it's kind of just gore, kind of, it's like extremism, like sort of like, where it's just like, we're just gonna brutally kill off this person, and it's not really a massive payoff to the story, and it just feels like it's gore for gore's sake and nothing more. And I kind of understand what she's saying, but I think it's I think it's definitely worth watching. But
Mhm.
I did feel that way about The Walking Dead. Like I felt like The Walking Dead just, it stopped being about a story nearly, and it was just about like, how can we make these zombies more gory and disgusting looking, and let's think of just creative ways to blow them up and destroy them and make them eat each other and all this. Like it was just all a shock factor and nothing more. And I don't know if like she's trying to indicate that maybe she's getting that vibe off this show. I don't really think that this show's there yet. Maybe it gets there. I don't really know. Um, Dan mentioned something here a little further up in the chat that I did read, and our conversation didn't really flow into it naturally, so I didn't want to bring it up. But he says he thinks that there should be more than one season per game, and I thought that that's where they were going to go with this season. I didn't think that they were going to kill Joel so early in the season, just for the sake of the normies. I thought maybe they'd let the second season play out, and then at the end of the season we get Joel's death, and then fade to black, and then we have to wait 2 years, and then boom, it comes back, and it's all the Ellie show for season 3. And I thought that would have worked. I feel like now what they're going to do, which is kind of similar to the game but not as much, but they'll probably do like a small flashback in each episode just to have a bit of Pedro in the rest of the show. But for the most part, like, yeah, he's gone. Like I think half of the flashbacks in the game, if I'm not mistaken, are stuff that we've already seen in the show. So they can't do that again. You know what I mean? So they're going to have to either create new flashbacks for the sake of it, or
yeah, and that's gonna be weird.
yeah, because like if I'm not mistaken as well, in episode 1, Joel doesn't go to therapy. Joel doesn't have a real relationship with Dina at all. It feels like in the show he has a bit of a relationship with Dina. Like Dina's like sitting down, like, "Oh, teach me how to do this," and I really like. He's like, "I like you, kid. You're a great kid, and all. I wish I had this relationship with Ellie." Blah blah blah. So I presume maybe we might get some Dina having flashbacks of Joel and like some nice moments between the two of them, and then Ellie's obviously going to have a lot of reminiscing as well. But yeah, I feel like all the big important flashbacks, like the flashback to him telling her like, "Oh, I lie," the whole lie that he tells her after the events of the first game, if I'm not mistaken, that doesn't happen until like halfway through the second game, right? And then
I
and then we
mean,
then we
I
figure
mean,
out why.
well, I'm going to stop you there because like you're starting to reach into territories of spoilers for anybody that's watching the show now.
Well, not really, because they did a kind of frame for frame of that at the very end of season one. That's the last conversation they have in season one. But when that happens in the game, that doesn't happen till like halfway through the second game. And then you're kind of putting two and two together. You're like, oh, that's why she's really mad at him. Because I think at the start, in the game at the start, you think she's only mad at him because of the events of the dance. What happens, the way Joel steps in to embarrass Seth and start a fight with him over the whole lesbian thing. And then that's why I think you think that she's mad at him in the game, but in the show, really why she's mad at him. And again, I think that's another mystery that's kind of just spoiled and told too soon in the show, where it's something you have to earn in the game.
Yeah, like I can see where you're getting at. I might have to rewatch it, but I don't think that they spoiled anything in that sense yet. So that's why I'm like kind of think like that's why I was like, ooh, don't go
But
too far.
the last scene in season one, because I only rewatched the end of season one before I started the new season, and the last scene of the show is her asking Joel, "You're telling me the truth, right? Like you're telling me what happened in Seattle is what is the truth, what really happened." And he lies to her and says, "Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like they couldn't cure you. There is no cure." That was the lie, and that was at the end of the first season. And I thought it was weird at the time because I'm like, didn't that happen like halfway through the second game? But yeah.
I mean, it's just a good recap for anybody. Like they could do it again,
They
essentially, and
They could. It would be a bit lazy, like filmmaking wise, if they just reuse that scene again.
I mean they did it in part two in the game.
I when they go back in the game, I suppose I don't know. It kind of makes more sense because you're kind of playing a memory in that sense. I don't know if that like if it feels a bit more justified than them just reusing. Like, are they gonna? Because like in the second game, they do some like flashbacks to like the day out at the museum or whatever or the aquarium. Like, are they gonna do like how do they do that in the show? Because like Ellie obviously was younger. They use a no younger model of her in the game, but like you can't use a younger model of Bella Ramsey unless they shot it like at the beginning of the filming of the show. I don't know if they were that ahead, if they were,
Uh,
fair play to them because that's impressive, but I don't know.
they just use a bit of AI, cut a few inches off her legs, just make her look like a little stumpy.
Cut and paste.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. And like again, I'm excited to see how they do it. I know that like we're gonna get the aquarium scene and stuff because I think it was in one of the trailers. Um,
Right.
but
Yeah.
I wasn't really paying attention to what Ellie actually looked like, if she's gonna look like herself or not. Maybe they just because if I'm not mistaken in the game, like they say it was years previous, but maybe they have it just as a kind of more recent event that happened to kind of make
Mhm.
sense of why she looks older. I don't know. I don't know. Time will tell. Time will
Time
tell.
will
But
tell.
I think like what Dan was saying is like how I felt. I felt the same way. I thought that they were gonna slow the pacing down, and then maybe season two is about Ellie, and then season three is from the Abby side, and then that big split in the game is like 2 seasons of the show because they
Mhm.
are confirmed for a third season. So maybe that is what they'll do. Maybe we'll see the Ellie side of Seattle, and then season three is the Abby side of Seattle, and then the big finale. I don't know.
Hard to tell, man. It's going to be interesting to see how far along they want to take this. If this happens to finish up with the end of the games like ending,
Yeah.
then and they say that they're going to continue on, then I think that would make people a little more excited for the fact that they would get a third game at that point.
Yes. Yeah. I think Druckmann is working on a third game. Like there's an interview I think there's some when they re-released the remaster, they put in a bunch of like interviews and making of the game and all that sort of stuff, which I watched all that stuff on my stream back when I played the remaster. And
Mhm.
he does mention in one of those interviews, he says that he didn't have an idea before, and it was kind of finished as a two-parter. And he's like, I didn't want to jump into a third part for no reason, but he does feel that it should be a trilogy, the games, and that he has an idea now, but he hasn't really etched it out fully. Now, he's said this a couple of years ago, so it would not surprise me if they are full blown in development, because like Naughty Dog will do that. Like they won't tell people that they're making Uncharted 4. They'll just be 2 or 3 years into the making of it, and then they'll announce it. It's like,
Mhm.
here's something we've been working on for the last 3 years. So, if they came out at the end of this year, I think a perfect time for them to announce a third game would be at the end of the second season of the show. Like, imagine if they actually came out and said, like, hope you liked the show. Oh, by the way, part three's in development. Like, everyone would lose their mind, I think. I think it'd be fucking fantastic. But that's the
Yeah.
time. That's the time to do that. Yeah.
Yeah. Additionally speaking, I'm trying to think what I was going to say, but like, essentially, how did you feel about after the point when Joel is gone and they're essentially like moving on to the next scenes, or like near the ending of the second episode? How'd you feel about the song being played?
I don't remember what song it was. Which song was it?
It
Remind
was
me.
it was a song that they used in the reveal trailer for the game.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
When
I don't think
it's
it didn't jump out at me that much, to be honest.
really like I was taken aback, and I'm like, really? They're gonna use this song? Like, all right, that's cool. Like I thought it was a nice nod to the video game. Like this is how things are gonna start, and the lament essentially of Ellie from
Yeah.
losing Joel.
Look, the Druckmann, who is the main director of the games, is like one of the creative directors of the show, and you can see his fingerprints all over it. So, I think they're going to use the soundtrack perfectly. I think, yeah, it's great. I love that. I don't know if you see these, but I see a lot of TikToks being made of like side by side comparisons of like how close they get the game to the show and stuff. And like, I love seeing shit like that. I think it's great.
Mhm.
Um, respect to the source material. We say it all the time on this podcast, but I think a lot of the time, stick to the source material and you're onto a winner. Like, Sony are allergic to making money. It looks like Warner Brothers have been for years as well. It's like, guys, the blueprints are all there. Just use them, And I
It's
think
so
this
easy.
show is for the most part doing that. I understand they probably have to make some changes, but for the most part, yeah, it's done right.
Yeah, you definitely already see some of the changes, and we already discussed this earlier, like um with the infection rate, essentially. Like
Yeah.
that didn't happen in the game at all. Like
No.
that's a completely new kind of take, which I actually thought was pretty cool. Like
You're right.
they when it comes to the game itself, a lot of the action is in between all the conversation, and they can't really replicate that one to one, because then it would be kind of odd to
Yeah.
see Ellie like go from spot to spot and then maybe overhear some conversation. They could, like, I guess they could possibly do it the same way, but it would be kind of weird. It's like, why are we listening to two people talk about where they're going next, or where they're taking the cargo, or whatever it is that they're doing, and
Yeah.
where's Abby, and kind of stuff like that. So this makes more sense in terms of having to, like, giving the audience something to chew on, other than like, hey, we're going to show you some gameplay.
Yeah.
Because you essentially see some of the gameplay in a sense, like in a different fashion, when you're in that scene with Ellie in that store,
Yeah.
and how she like falls through the crack, or like falls through the debris, and you see like her dealing with it, and you see her like picking up an item to throw, and dealing with the clicker while, or like runner while using a knife, like as you can do in the game, which like it does do a little bit of service there to show like, hey, we remember, like, this is from the game.
Yeah.
But I do like their spin here and there. It's like with Until Dawn. Do you remember, like, in Until Dawn, you see like they keep showcasing that fucking moment with with the lady with her like something coming out of her cheek thing. That never happens in the game at all. Like that's completely different. So they're essentially trying to do a different take on what they're going to do with Until Dawn. So like
I think they need to for Until Dawn, like because the story of Until Dawn as a game doesn't work as a movie. Um, it would be very hard to kind of let a movie flow and play through where you just like if somebody makes a decision, it changes the entire outcome of the actual film. Like it'd be hard. It's harder to kind of live that when you aren't making that decision. You know what I mean? I think
how
that's.
funny though would it be
I think it
if
would
you
be
were
cool.
like you give them the app and they're like, hey, if you want to play, you can create
That'd
like an
be
audience kind of scoring.
Yeah, like like in how Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, like the way that all the crowd have the pad, and it's like vote A, B, or C. Like that'd be
Yeah,
fucking cool as shit. Like I think we just came up with $1 billion idea, by the way. Let's clip it and ship it here, guys.
it would be
Like,
so
that
awesome.
would be so cool if they did like multiple endings to a movie, and each theater has a different fucking movie. Like like everyone in the world will be
Jeez.
talking about what ending did you get? Like how did this guy die? Did you like who lived? Who died? Yeah, and then like
The
it's like
audience picked
let's go
B and they
again.
suck.
Yeah, it's like let's go again. Let's see it again and see can we get a different ending.
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
$1 billion idea, guys. Yeah, clip it and ship it. That's going to be the clip of the stream. um, no, yeah, like I think the way that they're doing the movie, I think is clever for a movie. Obviously, it's kind of like a Groundhog Day thing where they die and time resets and they have to do this. They have to live the same day until they survive until dawn, and that's the end of the movie. Like I think that makes sense. Like, could you have just made this movie and called it something else? Does it need to be Until Dawn? Probably not. Like, it's
Uh,
not really
it's
anything
just
to
called
do with the
Until
game.
Daybreak.
Yeah, like it could be anything.
That'd
It's
be
not
so bad.
really. It's not really Until Dawn, but look, I think it's cool. I think giving it the name Until Dawn, you've probably got it. You've sparked interest with a lot of gamers. A lot of
How,
gamers are going to go see that film.
how cool would it have been if they had like? And I'm not a huge fan of prequels, but how cool would it have been if they had actually made a movie called From Dusk and it was a prequel?
Yeah, yeah. From
Like and
dusk, and then the second one Until Dawn.
Till Dawn. Yeah.
Yeah, again, another great idea. We're saving Hollywood here. Dad in the chat. I never saw her searching for some random ladders. I think they did do the whole ladder thing though, right? Like her and Dina.
uh,
Because I remember saying this to my girlfriend. I remember thinking like, or sorry, was that during season one? I think I'm sorry. Like I rewatched like the last 3 episodes of season one, and I think in one of the episodes, Joel's like, "Hey, there's a ladder here, Ellie," and he like,
and then
he's
you
like,
click
send that,
L3.
yeah, send that ladder down, and he like, you press triangle to give her a hoosh up, and like, they did do that in season one, but yeah, maybe not in season two. But I think we'll get to see shit like that. I think when they go to Seattle, we'll see a lot more nods to the game, like the fact that they put the beer bottle in season two, where they're throwing it to distract the clickers, stuff like that's straight from the game. Like, and I remember, like, I was giddy when that was happening. Like, I was like to my girlfriend, I was like, hey, you do this in the game, like, it's all good, it's all good. And she's like, yeah, cool. Like, obviously not like giving a shit. Yeah, it's like,
I
who
know
cares? Like,
our girls are basically
wow,
rolling their eyes like, yeah, wow,
yeah,
whatever.
cool. Yeah, she threw a bottle. Wow. And I'm just like, shut up, that's cool. Like, if we see her going, because like you see the backpacks and stuff, like they're the same from the game and all. Like, so like if we see her like searching through the backpack looking for like nails and shit to make like the nail bombs and stuff, that'll be fucking sick. I don't know if they're gonna go that deep with it now, but that would be very cool.
That would be cool.
Yeah. I don't know if people in the chat or whatever want to talk about Andor, but we're an hour and 10 minutes live, so I suppose maybe we'll move on from The Last of Us. Obviously, we'll be back. I don't know if are you here next week? Actually,
Yeah, I should be here next week.
we'll be talking about the next episode of The Last of Us next week. I'm very excited to see more of it. But yeah, look, I'm not going to talk about Andor for long. I've only seen the first episode. There's 3 of them that came out today or last night if you're in the US. It's not great. It's not great. It feels like the opening scene felt more like Star Wars to me than the entire first season did. Like we see Andor and he's like on like an Empire base and he's trying to steal a TIE fighter, obviously for the main mission or whatever at the end. We know where this is all going. It's all going towards Rogue One. Rogue One is probably one of my favorite Star Wars movies. It's insane, like how good that fucking film is, and it was such a shock for me that because like I was so excited when I heard like holy shit they're going to do a series about Andor, like that, like a prequel to Rogue One, which is probably the best thing that Disney have put out in Star Wars, I was all on board. And it just, the first season was just really boring for me. Like, it didn't feel like Star Wars at all. And like, look, I know I don't need like Jedi's doing backflips and lightsabers flying around the place for it to feel like Star Wars. But like, if I remember correctly, in the first season of that show, we didn't even get the Empire until like episode 5 or something like that. Like, it was ridiculous. Like, we didn't see a stormtrooper for like almost the entire show. Whereas in this one, episode 1, like minute 1, we see Andor, and he's like in like a, like a black stormtrooper like pilot uniform, and he's like sneaking onto this base, and like it feels Empire as fuck, and there's like all the references to the Empire or the Emperor and stuff like that. So I was like, this is definitely off to a better start than the first season was. But, and Dan's talking about this in the chat, like, I think the main kind of critique to the show at the moment is there is some references to, and I don't even think I can say the word on here without getting banned, so I'm not going to say it, but I'll
you
put
would
it
have
up
to
there
like,
and people can read it. But
yeah, it's like you would say essay.
Yeah. There's an essay scene in, and I saw a bit of it in the first episode. One of the main female character, I can't even remember her name, but she's like having a nightmare, and we're kind of like seeing into her dream, and there's like a guy creeping into her room, and he like takes her like bed sheets off, and she's like in her underwear, and I'm like, this is fucking crazy. Like, I'm like, this is not like Star Wars at all. Like it just feels very fucking strange. Bix is her name. Yes, thank you, Dan. It just it feels really out of place. Like, obviously, I have a daughter, I have a young son. I don't want to explain these things to my children until I absolutely have to. Like, me and you were talking about this offline.
Right.
I don't want to shatter my kids' innocence until I absolutely have to. Like, I'm a fucking parent. Like, obviously, I know I'm going to have to tell them about all this stuff someday, and they're going to have to, especially my daughter, is going to have to be very vigilant of all this stuff. Like, the world is a dangerous place. I know all this. This is fantastic. Great that we have to live through all this bullshit. But Star Wars is meant to be magic. It's meant to be a fantasy world, and it's meant to take you out of the bullshit of the real world and let you live in a fantasy world with Jedis and magic and fucking the Force and all this stuff. Like, it's supposed to be a good place to be. And I just don't think that this is a topic that should be discussed in Star Wars. Like, I think it's just, like, as George Lucas said, like, Star Wars is for kids. And I understand that the fan base grows up, and, I'm a male in my 30s. Like, I obviously still love Star Wars, and I'm going to watch Star Wars, but I don't get mad when, there's like some childish Star Wars that comes out that I know is not for me. That's fair enough. But, and I think, Star Wars probably do have to try and make some content that does try and appeal to the older generation that have been with them. Like, I've been a Star Wars fan since I was 6 years old. It's great for me if, I get to enjoy something like Ahsoka where, Anakin comes back and all this stuff. Like, that's great. But I'm not going to get mad at Disney for making a childish show, because it is PG content, like, you know what I mean? So
right,
the fact that they're referencing SA, and I don't know if it goes as far as actually showing it. I haven't seen the other episodes yet. Dan mentioned something about the third episode. I think they do actually show it in the third episode. It's been like kind of referred to in the first episode. I think she says the word grape in the second episode, if I'm not mistaken. Like, so they actually say it, and then in the third episode, I believe they actually show it. So, yeah, I don't know. Like, for me, my 11-year-old son isn't a big Star Wars fan, which breaks my heart every day. But he's not going to be watching this show, so I don't have to sit down and tell him what all this stuff means. But if my daughter in a couple of years' time, I feel like she's probably going to be a Star Wars fan because she's like a little mini me. I don't want to have to show her this, and for her to like say to me like, Dad, what's going on here? Like, and I don't want to have to explain SA to a 7-year-old or 8-year-old or 9-year-old, you know what I mean? And like these shows, and like I was kind of having this conversation with my missus as well, like, and she was like, well, what's the rating for these shows? And I was like, I don't think it's like like it should be like PG, like, like I think it is. Like, I know all of George's movies were like rated for kids. Like, I saw them in the theater when I was 10, 11, 12, 13 years old. Like, they're not made for adults. Like, they're not like, PG-13 or whatever, or like rated 15s or 16s or whatever it is. Like, they're made for kids. And like I even went onto IMDb and was looking at like all of the the way you can see all like the parental ratings and stuff, and they break it down like for like violence, and they tell you if it's like mild or no content of that nature. Like there's like the parental guides, I think they call it. And
Hmm.
like I just out of interest was checking all of George's movies, and everything's green, like no sexual references, no like mild like violent references, obviously with the lightsaber fights and stuff, but we know it's not like real, so it's just, yeah, I don't know, it feels out of place for this universe. Obviously, you know I love watching stories that are like criminal dramas and stuff like that, like, and if it's about a story like that happening, I don't mind, but I don't boot up Disney Plus. I don't turn on Star Wars to watch this stuff. It's not the right place for it. And I think it's
Right.
not definitely not the right place for young people, like especially like preteens. I think it's just too soon for them. I understand if you've got like 16-year-old girls or whatever, 15, 14-year-old girls, like young teens and stuff, I think they need to be aware of the dangers of this world. That's fair enough. But again, I don't think Star Wars is the place to be talking about it or even showing it. Like this is supposed to be an escape.
Yeah.
That's how it's always been for me. And I think like even like Marvel, DC, all these things, I would use them as an escape. Like it's not something I go into expecting to be. I don't want a very like kind of political show, or like I'm not going to watch a superhero movie to be talking about like politics and stuff like that. Like I know it's like it is mentioned in quite a few of them, but that's not the reason why I turn them on. Like I want to be blown away by superpowers and magic people, all this stuff, like like glorified
Yeah.
gods, like So yeah, I just feel like it's not the place for it. You know, Yo, Sharky, what's up? How are you? Exactly, an escape. Yeah, like I think that's what a lot of people are upset about now. I've seen a lot of people online saying like, but trying to boycott this show, saying they're not going to watch it now because of this, of the essay and stuff. Like, I'm still going to watch the show. I'll give it a chance. I'm not condoning any of the behavior, of course, and I'm very much against that aspect of it. I don't want it in Star Wars at all, but
Right.
I will still watch the show. Like I'll see, I want to see how it leads into Rogue One. Like that's all I want to see. I probably will never watch the show again after this. Like it's a one and done for me for sure. But yeah, like I've seen a lot of people very upset about it online. They're outright refusing to watch the show. They're even trying to boycott it. Like I'm not going to go that far. And like to be honest, I don't even want to just participate in that toxicity at all. You know what I mean? I would just want to stay out of it. Um, but yeah, I don't know.
Nah, I get you, man.
Yeah,
It's
it's tough. It's tough.
yeah, it's a tough gig, especially because you're also a parent, so it means a lot more to
Yeah,
you.
it does. It does, man. And like like I think your entire like view of the world changes when you have a daughter,
Yeah.
especially. Like like it's kind of crude to say, but when you have a son, like the only the only dick you worry about is his, whereas like when you have a daughter, it's like every dick in the world is a threat, like, you know what I mean? So it's like
Every
like,
dick
and
is a threat.
that's what it is, man. It really is, like the whole world is just a dangerous place to young women, like. And I look at my daughter and she's like the most innocent little thing in the world, like, and I just think I will
Yeah.
protect her for as long as I possibly can. And I don't want to really reveal to her how dark the world actually is. I'll have to sit down with her at some point and say, you can't trust anybody, like any random strangers. You know what I mean? You're a potential target to everybody. Like, and it's a hard world for females to live in. It's something that we don't really have to deal with as males. Um, but yeah, it's a fucking dangerous place. The world is crazy. Like, I'm seeing all these videos on like TikTok and stuff of like women going on jogs and they have like their dads following them in a car and stuff. And like I kind of like laugh at how ridiculous it is, but it's scary because that's how they feel. They feel that that's what they have to do. To be safe, you have to have somebody following you in a car so you can go on a run at night to stay fit. Like that's fucking insane, you
That's
know?
fucked up.
It is. It's fucked up. Like, like people should have the freedom to be able to move around without fear of being attacked or killed or fucking whatever, SA'd, anything.
Mhm.
Yeah. I'm a 1D dad. Lucky you, Dan. Lucky you. I heard that analogy before and it made me laugh, but I was like, it is actually kind of true. like if you have a son, you're kind of like, okay, I hope you don't use your dick in a bad way and like, get a girl pregnant too young or whatever. But now as a female father, you're like, I don't trust any male around my daughter at all. So yeah, I'm watching out on everybody. So yeah, very protective dad.
Yeah.
So yeah, the teenage years are going to be fun for me for sure.
You'll be fine.
Yeah, I hope so.
Just a friend, Dad.
Yeah, no, look, I know she's going to be a good looking girl too. So, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. That's why I kind of always joke, like my girlfriend does the same. Like, she's like, oh, that's why you go to the gym and all. That's why you're lifting all these big weights. Like, you have to be there to protect our daughter. Like, and I'm like, you joke about that, but I'm training. I'm serious. There's some day where I might have to use it. So yeah.
You ever hear that saying, like, your dad is only sitting down all the time because he's just waiting for the day he needs to get up?
Yeah, exactly.
Like he's saving all his energy for that moment.
Yeah, well, I pray I never have to use it. Like, but yeah, scary stuff. I'm always saying, like, like I never want to see like my kids getting bullied or getting, any of that stuff, because I'm like, I'll go to prison for you if I have to, but I don't want to have to do that. So let's pray it never happens. But I will fucking do it if I have to. So yeah, fingers crossed we never have to go there. What do you think about Thunderbolts? Have you seen any of the reviews or anything? I know there's kind of they had a press they had some creator screenings, and the premieres were during the week.
Nothing in terms of like, checking out reviews or anything. I already have the tickets. I'm already going to check it out. So I think
Same.
like I want to give my review once I get around to it.
Yeah. I haven't seen anybody talk, like nobody's like the review embargo is still in place. So I think people, aren't really allowed to talk about like spoilers or anything like that.
Yeah.
I think there are some people talking about it. Now I haven't seen any, thank God, but I think there are some people kind of spoiling the after credit scenes and stuff. I believe there's two. So if you're listening to this, make sure you sit in till the very end. Apparently there's two after credit scenes, and they're both hype from what I hear, like very, very hype. And I presume going to lead into either Fantastic Four or Doomsday or something like that. But yeah, I from what I've heard, again, no spoilers because I haven't heard any spoilers, but a lot of people seem to be really, really liking it. They've said like, best Marvel in years, all this sort of stuff. And, I think a lot of people were kind of saying the same thing about Brave New World. So like, you take this with a pinch of salt, of course. But, I think I'm like, I think was it one of the last trailers we both watched together and we're like, that was fucking great. And just, leave it at that. Let's just watch it. Like the vibe seems to be good with this movie. And from what people are now saying, and like some pretty trusted sources, like people that I would like trust their opinions, I feel like I have a very similar opinion to them, are saying great things about it. So yeah, I think it's going to be good. I think I'm going to enjoy it. And just the fact that there's like connective tissue and all is great. I don't know if you saw any of the pictures from the premiere. There was a couple of like celebrities that were there, like MCU stars that were there, and I was like, it's like, why is that person there? Why is this person there? Are they in the movie? Or like, what's going on here? So I think they might have actually accidentally maybe spoiled some stuff just from having some of these actors on the red carpet, because it seemed kind of strange that they were, but I don't know. We'll see.
I mean, maybe if you're an MCU actor, you just get a free ticket.
Maybe, but I've seen premieres for other things, like like Spider-Man.
They
and all
just
that
didn't
sort
want
of
to
stuff.
go.
I don't know about that now, but like, I've definitely seen other premieres where stuff like that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Sharky says, "Oh, they were planted to fuck with your minds." That'd be cool. I'd like that. Like, I think maybe stuff like that is starting to happen, because like I think like the studio and stuff are putting out fake leaks and stuff like that now to kind of get reactions or try and throw people off. Like there was some very like blatantly fake set photos of like Doom's suit and stuff like that, and he just didn't even look like Doom at all. Like, and it's like, this is clearly fake to try and throw people off. And I'll give you a bit of an exclusive as well. We're not naming names or anything, but anyone who knows me will know who I'm talking about. But I don't know if you saw that there was like pictures of Lobo that went up online recently.
Yeah, those looked really good.
They're fake.
That's fucked.
So I text a friend of mine, and I think you know who this guy is, but a friend of mine is in this movie, and I sent him a picture, or I just put it up on my story or something, and he replied to me just going, "Those pictures aren't real." And I was like, "Are you serious?" And he said, "Yeah, they're not real." And I said, "Well, you would know. You're fucking there right now." So yeah, apparently they're not real. So those pictures are all going around
Unfortunate.
are fake,
So
which is
they
crazy.
made him look like whoever made those made him look really good, and now I'm like, oh, we're probably gonna get a shitty looking Lobo.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, yeah, bittersweet because, yeah, like they were doing well now. And what's going to happen? Like we all know this now. If we see Lobo appear in this Supergirl movie and he looks worse than that, they're going to be like, "Oh, the fans did it again. The fans are able to make it better than we can." You know,
Mm-hmm.
like that's exactly what's going to happen. So, yeah, my mate was like, "I could send you some real pictures, but I'm not allowed to. He's under NDA." So
Yeah,
it's like,
no, don't.
"Oh, no."
Yeah, not
I'm
best
not.
not to get him in trouble.
I would never ask, but he was kind of like, I'd love to show you some of these pictures, like the actual pictures, but he can't because I don't know if I told you this, but he's actually stunt doubling for Jason Momoa in the movie, so
Yeah, I
he's
remember you were telling me about that.
like crazy, bro. I gotta get him on the cast to talk about it, like when it's all said and done.
At least he's
Um,
not Al Pacino's ass.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, like when we actually see the film. Like I'm going to be looking out to see if I can actually spot when it's not Jason on screen, because anytime that it, like you'll see the back of his head doing a stunt or something, I'm going to be like, that's my fucking mate there. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Um, just before we go for the week, because we're about to hit an hour and a half. Star Wars Celebration was on at the weekend. There was a couple of pretty cool announcements. Sean Levy and Ryan Gosling came out on stage, and they
Mhm.
announced that they're doing a movie called Star Wars Starfighter, which is set place. I believe it's set after Episode 9, so it's like brand new territory, unknown territory, and I don't know who Gosling is playing, but yeah, we got to confirm Gosling is coming to the MCU and he's going to be in Sean Levy's movie. Like I really like Sean Levy. I think he's a very passionate filmmaker, and he was saying all the right things on stage. He's saying I've been a Star Wars fan like my entire life, and he's very passionate about the world, and seeing what he did with Deadpool, and like you can tell the passion that went into it. And I know he was maybe more so because he was working with Ryan and Hugh, who were like his real life friends.
Mhm.
um I feel like, yeah, I think he could do very well in Star Wars if he brings the same passion and heat to Star Wars as he has to the MCU.
Mhm.
SWU. Yeah, literally the Star Wars
The
universe. Yeah,
swoo.
the SWU, the MCU and the SWU. Yeah, it's interesting. Like I think some people are kind of putting two and two together. There was meant to be a Rey movie coming out, or she was meant to get a new trilogy, and it was meant to be set after Episode 9. Now it looks like that got delayed, and now it looks like it's even been maybe shelved instead of this movie. So it'd be interesting to see, is that actually the truth? Is that what's going on? Um,
Mhm.
Very interesting to see. I think Gosling, I'm not the biggest Gosling fan, but I can appreciate he's a good actor, and I think he'll bring a lot of asses to seats for this film too. So it can only be good things for the movie. Um, Also, that was announced they're doing a Darth Maul animated series, which takes place directly after the last episode of the Clone Wars. Which, if you're a Clone Wars fan, you're gonna love, because Maul in those shows is just fantastic, played by Sam Witwer, who's like probably one of the biggest Star Wars nerds on the planet. Just understands Star Wars perfectly. Like he probably understands the lore more than any of us put together. He's so incredible. Like I remember hearing an interview with him talking about when he got the job in as Star Killer in those games. He was asked it because there was like a mocap thing, so he was going to be like a physical actor in the game as well as like a voice actor. And they asked
Mhm.
him to do like a scene, and there's a scene in the game where he's meditating, and if you play those games, you know that he's like Vader's secret apprentice. So he's like Sith, but he's unbalanced. So he's kind of half good, half bad, and he's like suffering on the inside because of it. And when he was doing the audition, he was kind of like shaking around and stuff and like twitching and all this sort of shit. And they were like, the people who were doing the casting interview, like the casting calls, were like, what are you doing, bro? Like they cut the scene. They're like, what are you doing? Like you're supposed to be meditating. And he's like, well, I'm Sith, right? And Sith don't meditate. They're always like in constant like imbalance, and they wouldn't be able to sit and meditate. And like they were just like, whoa, like holy shit, like they're like, you understand this world more than we do. And they just gave him the role straight away.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, Sam is the goat, like 100%. But yeah, he's been playing Maul for years in animation, and now he's getting to do it again. And rumor has it is he's actually going to get an appearance in Ahsoka season 2 in live action. They're going to bring him in. Live action. I think he's going to play the son. He's going to be one of the Mortis gods, which is fucking sick, bro. Like I love Sam. So yeah, it's epic. It's epic.
Finally.
Yeah. So fingers crossed, because like I know there was a comic run, Son of Dathomir, which is like a Darth Maul comic, and apparently it's like some of the best Maul stories. I haven't read it. Some of the best Maul stories ever. I understand. The people who like praise it, I fully believe them. So I haven't read it myself, but I probably will read it before the show comes out. So hopefully they take some serious inspiration from that run. Yeah, the people demanded more live action Whitwer. Facts. So yeah, look, I think even getting this animated series is going to be great. Because like I don't know if did you watch Clone Wars? You don't watch Clone Wars, do you?
No. I've got so much crap to watch, man. It's going to be a while before I even get around to like actually watching that.
There's a lot of crap in Clone Wars, so I'm sure you. Yeah, like I'm sure you could probably Google it and just find all the important episodes and just watch them. You know what I mean? Like there's probably a guide to all the stuff that you can skip because there's a lot of kind of waste in it. Because like I started watching it like day one. Like they released an animated movie back in like 2008. Went to see it on the big screen and everything. Liked that. I thought that was cool. And then I was like, oh shit, they're doing a show now as well. And I remember watching it like, and you get like 5, 6, 7, 8 episodes in, and there's some episodes that are like just about the clones and they're kind of boring, and then just other episodes that you might do a side story about someone random. Like, for me, it's a skippable thing. I know Dan's here; he's going mad in the chat here. He said Club Wars is the best Star Wars, no skip. So fair enough. I appreciate your opinion, but for me, some of it is definitely skippable, and I'm a massive Star Wars fan. But for me, it was all about give me the Ahsoka stories, give me the Obi-Wan stories, give me the Maul stories, give me the Anakin stories, all the Jedi and Sith shit. I don't really want to see just episodes based about like just stormtroopers and stuff. Or clones, should I say. I don't really care too deeply about that sort of stuff. But yeah, all the origin stories, as Sharky says, like it's fucking incredible. Like honestly, that show elevated Anakin's character so much that, if you were to watch that show, if you don't really care for Anakin as a character, because I know a lot of people like didn't really like Hayden Christensen's portrayal of him and they give Anakin shit, but like a lot of people say like watching Clone Wars transforms Anakin as a character, and it actually makes Hayden's performance in the movies even stronger. And like Hayden himself said that he watched those shows and like really loved what they did with Anakin, and it helped when he came back and started acting again as Anakin. Like he said the Clone Wars really helped him. 99 is a hero. I'll let you have that. I don't even know. I don't know. Do you have anything else you want to add before we break for the week?
Nothing in particular. Are you going to watch Sinners at all in theaters?
I don't know, man. I want to. I really want to. I hear the movie is incredible. Like I hear it's I hear it's like a 9.5 out of 10. Like I hear it's almost a perfect movie. Like, so I am very, very intrigued. I want to watch it.
There's a scene where they do an Irish Irish dance.
All I've seen on Irish TikTok is like black Irish guys like kind of doing the jig with the Irish music playing, and they're like getting to see a black guy doing Irish dancing in a movie. Like you're like in a Hollywood film. They're like, what the fuck? This is crazy. So yeah, like Irish TikTok is blowing up about this movie right now. So yeah, I really want to see it. And I love Michael B. Jordan. I love Haley Steinfeld. So yeah, I like, there's
and
I don't need anything else. Yeah, I don't need anything else.
They blew it out of the fucking water, dude. They blew it out of the fucking water. They like the acting in there, so good. And also if you do end up watching it in theaters, there is a like a mid credits or an after credits. I can't remember if it's mid or after.
Okay. Yeah, I might try and go see it. I think it might be one. Like I have a trip this weekend, and then next weekend, obviously for Thunderbolts, so 2 in a row. So yeah, I'll see if we can make time to go see it. As I said to you already, like I feel terribly guilty about asking my parents to watch the kids when they've been watching them all day for us, and then I have to say like, oh, can you watch them again for 4 hours tonight while we go to another movie? Like, so I just might not be able to find the time to go see it, but I will be seeing it minute one when it comes out.
No. Hold on, Sharky. No, I definitely watched The Accountant too.
I want to all three of these movies. I want to see all three of these movies on the big screen.
Yeah,
we were
those
talking
are
about
good
this.
movies.
We were talking about this earlier, Sharky. I said like for the first time in a long time, everything that's out right now, I want to see, and that hasn't happened for me in a long time. Like usually, I can't justify getting one of these memberships. You know the way I don't know if your theaters do this. You can buy like a membership where like you pay like $20 a month and you can go see as many movies as you want. But then if you're buying like an IMAX, you might have to pay like $3 or $4 extra or whatever. I've never really justified buying one of those cards because I'm like, maybe there's one movie a month that I want to see. So, realistically, I'm going to not really use the membership, but one of those memberships will come in very handy this month because there's a lot of shit I want to see. So yeah, look, I'll let you know if I do see it. I really want to. I really want to see it, and I want to see Until Dawn. And as I think I've talked about this with Sharky before, I'm a big, massive Accountant fan, and so is my missus. So yeah, I'd love to see Accountant too.
Yeah. I never watched it until I think this year.
Yeah.
I watched The Accountant 1 and it was really fun. I didn't know that John Berthal was in it, and now after seeing the trailer, because I was like, I remember Katie and I were sitting in the theater and we were watching, and then she starts shaking my arm because she's a big Accountant fan.
Yeah.
She shakes my arm. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? And then I
leave me alone.
Yeah, like what? And then she's like, well, she starts smiling at me, and I'm like, oh, is this something I'm gonna know? And then all of a sudden we see, my God, Ben Affleck and John Berthal next to each other, and I'm like, they made it. Like in my head, I'm like, they made a second one. Like I'm trying not to be so loud, and she's like,
you're like Batman and the Punisher. What the fuck?
Yeah, that's
it's
so
crossover.
Cool.
Yeah, no, I saw the two of them on a poster on the side of a bus when I was driving the other day, and like the two of them just like he looks like Castle like in the poster, like it's so cool. And I obviously made the joke like, oh, there's Batman with the Punisher. Imagine the two of them together.
Yeah,
I don't think Bruce would like Frank very much.
Well, they have like amalgam comics and whatnot. So
yeah. It's possible.
So it'd be cool to just check that, like to see that in theaters. Like that's a huge stone throw away. Like we probably won't ever see that for like while we're alive. Maybe way later in the future. But like,
look at how Sony won't even let fucking Marvel use their own character in Spider-Man. Like, there's no way that like Superman and fucking Thor will ever share the screen together. I really don't see it happening, but hey, maybe we will. Sharky says, only watched The Accountant 1 last weekend. Fantastic movie. Was that your first time watching it? It's so good. It's so good. Like, and there's a great scene in it. There's a great scene in it where where he's in his trailer and he sees he has the Luke Skywalker lightsaber. So fucking cool, dude. The way he's like, and like it's an official like prop from the movie or something. And I was just like, fuck yeah, this dude's so cool. Because I love collecting lightsabers. You can actually see I have the lightsaber. It's right there. It's right there on the shelf. There it is. But yeah, I thought that scene was so cool, and I love his character in the film as well. And like where he's like in the strobe light. Again, I understand autism. Obviously, I'm an autism parent. Like, so I understand all the stimming and sensitivity and sensory issues. But like you see the scene like where he's in the room and he's like got the flashing lights and he's like hitting his shins with the pole and everything, and it's like it's just I understand all that so perfectly. Like the person who made that movie, either they have autism themselves or like someone in their family does. Like, because it is a perfect telling of like what someone is like with it. It's fantastic. That's why we love the movie so much. Like, because it portrays it perfectly. Yeah, it's really cool. Sharky says it flew under the radar for me in between Captain America and that. Yeah, so like I think my missus had seen it once before for obvious reasons before we got together, I think. And I remember I think it went up on Netflix here or something a few years ago, and she's like, we have to watch this film, and watched it, and I just loved it straight away. fantastic film. So yeah, I'm very, very happy that there's another one coming. So yeah, we'll break it here for the week, guys. Really appreciate everybody hanging out live. If you're watching this on a replay as well, let us know below what you think of Last of Us, what you think of Andor, what you think of Thunderbolts, if you got your tickets, all the Star Wars news, blah blah blah. And we'll see you next week. Bye bye.
Have a good one, everyone.